Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Angry Dave podcast. I am Dave. My next guest is Brian Arrowsmith. Brian is a lawyer from Erie, Pennsylvania, and he's also my brother-in-law.
Hi, big brother.
Hi, little brother. Brian and I have known each other since 1995 when I came to Erie, Pennsylvania for spring break. Brian, do you remember that?
Remind me.
This is the first time I ever seen Erie snow.
Oh, I do remember.
Why don't you tell him about your first impression of me when you saw me see Erie, Pennsylvania snow?
Well, I remember we had a snowstorm, which isn't too atypical in Erie because we get a lot of snow. In fact, we get more snow than most any city.
Right.
We're at least in the top 5 every year.
Right. But it was like late March, early April.
Yeah, which is typical snow weather. And
Right.
I remember you looking out the window, being concerned about how much snow was coming down and why nobody was reacting to it, or why we weren't going to the grocery store to get water and bread.
Yeah, water and bread. Milk, too. Milk was very important.
Yeah, milk as well. And we said, you're going to have to calm down, man. There's not going to be a run on the grocery store. You're going to be fine.
Before we get into you and your story, you have any Angry Dave stories you want to tell people?
Well, I have a lot of them. My favorite one. So I do remember being out one night, and I don't know where you were living. I mean, in Philadelphia. I don't remember which house it was.
Yeah.
But you and I had left the bars early, and we forgot your key to your house.
Oh, yeah.
Remember this?
I do remember this.
Yeah.
It's a good story.
And you were like, I really have to go to the bathroom. I said, well, you can just go.
Right.
And you went, but you went in your pants.
Right. Yeah.
And I said, well, Dave, there's no reason you have to pee in your pants right now. You could have just peed on the wall or the street.
Mm-hmm.
You said, well, you told me to go. So I went.
Yeah, that was, I lived at 17th and Spruce at the time.
Yeah.
It was the middle of the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And if I would have, there was I could get a indecent exposure charge, or I could just piss in my pants, and I decided to piss in my pants.
Would have stood in front of your wiener or covered it with my hands.
Yeah. Ooh.
I'll not touched it.
But all right.
Covered.
All right, good. No, how about an Angry Dave story? One where I was angry.
Yeah. Well, the best Angry Dave story is I think that I probably have. It's not the angriest, Dave.
No, it's not the angriest one.
But the angriest at me.
It's certainly at you. The only one.
We were all at my mom's house. I was in town. I didn't live in Erie at the time, and you didn't. And we were all visiting my mom for Memorial Day. And your oldest, Jacob,
was
a baby.
3 months old.
Yeah. And we were all out, but you and Laura came home early because you were parents.
Right.
My friends and I didn't because we weren't parents and had no responsibilities.
Right.
And we came home, I don't know, 3, 2 in the morning.
Sure.
Making noise as 20-some-year-olds do.
Right.
You had yelled from the back of the house, something quiet down, the baby's sleeping. And I said, what did I say?
Fuck that baby.
Yeah. Well, in my defense, one, I didn't really know him all that well yet.
Right. He was 2 months old. He was 2 months old.
Yeah, he was getting in the way of hanging out with my brother-in-law.
Right.
And I didn't mean it.
Right.
I was joking.
Yeah, I wasn't happy.
No. And you came down the hallway ready to fight.
Yeah.
And my buddy Andy or Jay was like, I think he's serious. Like he's going to hurt you. And I said, hey, he's not going to hurt me. They said, no, he's going to hurt you.
Yeah, I was mad.
Yeah. So the next morning, I remember coming up to you and apologizing. I said, well, Dave, I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings. It was in my mom's front yard.
Yeah,
just the two of us.
It was fine. No, at the moment you said, I'm not you're my brother-in-law. I'm not fighting you. You're my brother.
Yeah.
You were very drunk in your defense.
In my defense. And you were
very angry.
Yeah. More so than you needed to be.
Yeah, no, well, that's the story of my life, Brian.
Yeah, right.
I was way too angry. It's 0 or 100, and we've heard now probably 30 of these stories in 16, now 17 podcasts or something like that. And I'm a little angry troll. That's what I do.
It's okay.
All right.
So what are your triggers that make you angry? Have you ever
Uh,
delved deep into that and got some therapy for it?
I have delved deep into it. I haven't gotten formal therapy, but it is anything that I find is disrespectful.
One of your triggers is when someone tells you, fuck your kid.
Yeah, fuck. Yeah, that's one of them. Some, I've been I'm little guy. I was a little dude in my neighborhood. One of the youngest in the neighborhood. It was kind of a rough neighborhood, and people tried to pick on me. So anytime I feel like being disrespected or that somebody is trying to be over me, that's a problem for me. I have a problem with authority there, but I'm trying. I'm working on it.
Some good insight.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about you. You were born what year?
1979.
1979 in Erie, Pennsylvania. You had an older sister who is my wife.
That's right.
Talk about growing up in Erie, like your early childhood. What was it like?
My early childhood, as much as I can remember, and I don't remember too much of my early childhood, my sister and I, my mom and dad, they divorced when I was maybe 5.
Yeah.
So I don't really have any memory of the 4 of us together.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 or 2.
Right.
So a lot of my early childhood memories really are more about Laura and I.
Yeah.
And my dad's my dad's mom and dad,
Right.
my grandma and grandpa.
Talk to me about that.
Well, I think we would go over there frequently. Probably not as frequently as I remember.
Yeah.
But we were there a lot. And my grandma and grandpa, our Mimi and Papa, I think really they played with us a lot.
Yeah.
Did a lot of games.
Yeah.
We learned a lot.
Yeah.
They're always teaching us about things.
Right.
I think they probably realized that our childhoods were a lot of chaos.
Right.
So they tried to be at least something steady.
Right. They were the steady hand there.
Yeah, I remember. I think they liked Laura more because she probably demanded it.
Yeah, well, that's for certain.
But they probably loved me more than they loved her because she was a lot.
Yeah,
and she needed to feel as though she was liked.
So how about like middle school, Brian? What were you like?
Yeah, so about 4th grade, I remember I started acting out a lot.
Yeah,
in 4th grade, probably for attention.
Yeah,
because your wife sucked all the attention out of everything.
Right.
So I started acting out bad, negatively.
Right.
In 4th grade, and then in 5th grade, it ramped up. I remember getting detentions a lot.
Yeah.
In-school suspensions. Getting in fights frequently. I remember pushing teachers.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. My mom told me a story once when she was a kid. I don't know if she did it or someone in her school, but a teacher told her to ship up or ship out.
Yeah.
So she said, "I'm going to ship out." She walked out of the class, and I always thought that was pretty cool.
Right.
And I remember my teacher, Mrs. Washek, told me, "Hey, Arrowsmith." She never called me by my first name. She said, "Don't push it." And I remember I pushed the table. I said, "I'm not pushing anything." And I pushed the table over, and I walked out of the classroom.
Yeah.
To thunderous applause. But I got in trouble with the teachers for that.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that Mrs. Washek, I think she grew up with my dad.
Yeah.
So she knew who my dad was.
Right.
And I remember there was a parent-teacher conference.
Yeah.
Probably not with my mom and dad together. I'm sure they were separate.
Right.
But I remember my mom told Washek, "You can hit him if you want." And she's like, I really can't. It's against the rules.
Yeah. It was late 80s by that time, man.
Yeah. So I was acting out in school, acting out around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Petty criminal mischief, things like that.
Yeah.
Egging houses. One of the things we used to love to do was we would go around the neighborhood and see who left their car keys in the ignition.
Yeah.
And then we would, in the night, we'd move their car to someplace else in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
That was fun.
What was your relationship with Laura in that middle school period?
Not good. Yeah. She was older, and I could tell she was starting to like detach from her life, where she was.
Right.
So I didn't really have a strong relationship with her. We fought a lot.
Yeah.
I remember. But I will say from, I don't know, 3rd grade on until she left for college. I think, to ask her. We both knew, though, that she and I were all each other really had.
Yeah.
Because any kind of kids of divorce, your mom goes and they start their life
Right.
with whomever that might be.
Yeah.
And your dad goes and they start their life with whomever that be. And if the mom and the dad don't really like one another,
Yeah.
they grow further apart and they take their families further apart. And then the kids, well, you're just left where you were.
Right. In the middle. Yeah.
And no one's around anymore.
Right.
So I think she and I always knew, well, we're all we got.
Right.
So that was nice.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, she did basically say that as well. How about the family around you? You spent a lot of time with family, at, like your Aunt Janie, those types of things. You spent a lot of time at those places.
Yes. Again, I think around that period of whatever, 85 to
Yeah.
90, 91,
Right.
spent an awful lot of time with our grandparents.
Yeah.
An awful lot of time with our mom's dad.
Yeah.
Her mother had died shortly after I was born. A lot of time at his house. A lot of time at my mom's sister and brother-in-law.
Yeah.
And their two boys are our cousins. The youngest cousin, Dave, he's been one of my best friends my entire life.
Right.
So yeah, we spent an awful lot of time there.
Yeah. Your grandparents were 3,000 years old when I met them.
Mm-hmm.
They were always old, right?
Yeah, I think they were about 2000 when I met them.
Yeah. No, I mean, but they were literally like in their 70s when you 70s or 80s when you were born, right? 70s.
Yeah, and well, God bless them. I think they were in their mid 40s when my dad was born.
Right.
So yeah, I had my grandparents were old,
Yeah.
comparatively to like my friends' grandparents who were young.
Yeah.
But I think that's to their credit. You
Right.
got these old people
Yeah.
that are like, oh, shit, we got to take care of these two kids.
Rugrats. Yeah.
Yeah. So to their credit, they did it, and I God bless them for that.
Yeah. God bless them. Talk to me about moving into high school. What was life like then?
So moving into high school, I had somewhat gotten my act together as far as my behavior.
Yeah.
During the middle school years, or at least between fourth grade and eighth grade, my stepdad really put me in my place and put the fear of God into me, along with my mom. My mom at the time, she was a prison guard. He was high up at the prison.
Yeah.
So they were pretty strict disciplinarians. And it was made clear to me that I would be going to a home for boys.
If you didn't shape up.
Yeah. And I didn't. I was, hard ass for a suburban kid.
Yeah.
But I wasn't hard ass to go to a home for boys.
Right.
So I said, well, I should start to behave. So in high school, I had settled down and I became good.
Yeah.
As far as good can be. My 9th grade year and 10th grade year, I was focused pretty big on being popular.
Yeah.
Which I fit in pretty well.
Right.
I was a funny kid, played sports.
Yeah.
And then after I got hurt pretty bad in football in 10th grade. So
right.
I was like, well, I'm never going to go pro.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Or at best be a walk-on at like a D2 school.
Right.
And even then, I'm not going to do that. So I said, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And I found once I stopped doing that, a lot of the people that I thought were friends or important kind of fell off.
Right.
But then I got into theater.
Yeah.
And I realized that, yeah, these theater kids, they're maybe not the coolest, but they're actually nice.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And so I did that and I sang, not in the chorus.
Yeah.
It was the vocal ensemble.
No.
Which is, you have to try out for that.
Yeah. That's
yeah.
Cool.
So then in 11th and 12th grade, I started doing that. And I started to realize, oh, there's actual nice people that aren't fake. But yeah, in high school, I fit in with everybody.
Yeah.
I didn't go out a lot to like parties or things like that, though. Mostly in high school, like in middle school, it was me and my best pal that hung out all the time.
Yeah. Marky.
Yep.
Talk to me about the home life still disjointed during that time.
Yeah. So during that time, I don't know what year it was, but we were bouncing back and forth. Well, not we, because after freshman year, Laura left
right.
to meet you.
94.
So at that point, as far as the home life went, I was pretty much on my own because she left. Abandonment. Terrible. But she left, so it was really me, and I bounced back and forth between my mom and stepdad's house and my dad and stepmom's house, which culminated, I think, my junior year.
Yeah.
My stepdad threatened to kill me.
Yeah.
So I said, well, this isn't good.
Right.
So I left there and I moved in with my dad to my dad's house full time, but he was in California.
Right.
So
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so I moved in essentially with my stepmom and my youngest stepbrother, Ryan, lived there. I think full time because he went to school in the district.
Right.
But the older stepbrother, Jason, he was splitting time between his dad and mom's house.
Right.
So my dad was in California. I was with my stepmom. My stepfather had threatened to kill me essentially.
Yeah.
Which was the culmination of a lot of years of abuse.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, so I'll get out. That was my home life.
Yeah. Smart move for you though, right? I mean, still.
Well, I'm here talking to you.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know if he would kill me.
Right.
But he would have severely maimed me.
Yeah. And it wouldn't have been the first time.
Wouldn't have been the first time.
Yeah. We don't have to go, we don't want to go in deep into that, but rough. I mean, it was rough, especially after Laura left. Is that true? False?
Well, I remember her leaving.
Yeah.
I remember the day of her leaving. And I remember visiting her at the school.
Yeah.
And I remember I was angry about it.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking to myself, well, I didn't listen to hers because I don't want to taint any of this, but I think you fucking went as far away from me as you could.
Well, yeah.
Right?
By design, yeah.
By design. Yeah. And so I was 14. I'm like, well, you just left me in the shit.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so she left and I've forgiven her.
So you graduated high school in what year?
97.
What do you do next?
Well, I graduated with honors.
Very nice.
Yeah. And then I had a decision to make where I wanted to go to school. And I remember thinking, well, I should also get away.
Yeah.
So I applied all over and I got into schools that were far away, but ultimately I decided to stay home. And I think that I decided to stay close to Erie, Edinburgh University. Around that time also, my grandparents were going down kind of the drain.
Right.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, well, I should probably stick around to take care of these people.
Yeah.
Right. Which was also an excuse because I was probably afraid to go away.
Right.
But I said, well, I'm going to stick around to be around them. So I think around this time also, my dad was still in California.
Yeah.
And so I did that. And I went to Edinburgh because it was a good teacher's school.
Right.
Because I was going to be an elementary education teacher. So I stuck around and I went to college.
And talk about that 4 years in college? How was it? 4, 7? I don't know how many years.
Or 4 years.
I'm just kidding.
I'm not a dummy. It was all right. I made the poor choice. And since my daughter's in the room, she should not make this choice. I had a great first semester.
Yeah.
So myself and Marky, we were roommates.
Yeah.
Because again, he's not leaving me and I'm not leaving him. We can talk about him later if you want.
I do.
But so we were roommates. And then after about a semester and a half in, so the second part of the first year, he's pretty much fizzled out.
Yeah.
Which pissed me off. So at that point, I got myself a girlfriend. Mm-hmm. And then I got into a terrible 3.5-year codependent relationship because I'd never had I had a girlfriend like in high school.
Yeah, but not like somebody you're really attached to.
Right. Yeah. So I bring all this childhood trauma, relationship issues, and now we have someone, and it was day after day and we're always together. She kind of cut me off from friends. I cut her off from friends, and now it's just this terrible thing. Don't get a relationship in college, child.
I mean, it can end up a different way.
Well, yeah. but also, don't.
No, you're right. I would not suggest it.
So my college experience wasn't like a great college experience.
Right.
But I did learn what kind of like a guy or boyfriend that I won't be.
Right.
I remember there's a lot of like jealousy.
Yeah.
And anger and insecurity. And now I'm the kind of guy that if I don't care. I mean, if you're in a relationship and you cheat, we're just done. Go do what you want.
Right.
It's fine.
Yeah. And you did graduate in 4 years. What degree did you have?
I went to school to be an elementary education teacher.
Right.
Right. But I graduated with bachelor's in political science.
Got it.
In pre-law.
Yep.
I changed my course of study after at one point some girl who's wasn't my girlfriend, her name was Kate. We were at a party. I think my girlfriend had maybe broken up, and she said, "You know who's hot?" I said, "Who's that?" Me? I said, "No." She said, "Lawyers are really hot." I said, "So the next day I went and I changed my major to pre-law political science, not knowing that you can go to law school on any degree.
Yeah, any degree. Right.
Yeah. So I changed my my major to something that's completely worthless.
Right.
No, the world doesn't need political scientists.
They don't. Or criminal justice majors, which is what I graduated with.
No one needs it.
No.
So I graduated with that, and then I went to law school.
Yeah. So that's another piece of advice for the children that are here. If you go to college, go and get a technical degree. It's something that it is transferable.
I would say, yeah, get a technical degree or get a degree in business.
Yeah, right. Something like that, right?
Yeah. Accounting.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Something that's useful.
Right. So, all right. So then you graduate and you go to law school right away? Or did you take a year off or so?
No, I think I went right away. I think I finished college in 4.5 years, so I had the spring off.
Right. Okay.
No, I did because by then, because I lived with my mom.
Right.
And my next girlfriend,
right,
Jenny.
Yep.
And I left her and my mom and I moved to Cleveland.
Right.
And she continued to live with my mom for like another year.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Which was fun because I remember like coming home once and my mom and my ex-girlfriend, because I had to dump her.
Yeah.
Because now I was in Cleveland, I'm not seeing you.
Yeah.
I came home for a weekend and I remember the two of them and some guy were eating dinner.
Jeez.
And I said, "Well, who's this?" And I was like, "This is Jenny's boyfriend."
My roommate.
Okay.
Your ex-girlfriend. Oh, it's so weird. You go to law school in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. Talk about that time in Cleveland.
It's fantastic. I remember getting to Cleveland.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself, I can be anyone I want to be.
Right.
So you have all this baggage from whatever, 1985.
Yeah.
Until whatever, 2000 maybe.
Yeah.
99. Yeah, I don't remember when it was. 2000, I think. And I said, well, I can be anyone.
Right.
And I remember driving to Cleveland saying that. I remember thinking, well, you don't have to be anyone. You can, for the first time ever,
be yourself.
You can just be Brian.
Right.
You don't have to be your parents' kid. You don't have to be Dave McGaldy's wife's brother.
Right.
You don't have to be someone's grandkid. You don't have to be someone's, at that point, it let me down, best friend.
Yeah.
You don't have to be some boyfriend. You can be you.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic.
Yeah.
So I remember like my first week in Cleveland.
Yeah.
I had a roommate. Her name was Emily. I think I called her Dirty Red. Emily was her name. And she was something. She was going to law school too. So I'm living with this girl, platonic.
Yeah.
And after about a week, we realized like, oh, we hate one another. But I remember going to school and I saw like the first kid that kind of looked like someone like me.
Yeah.
That I might like. I went up to him because I went and I got Indians tickets.
Right.
Guardians now.
Right.
And I got 2 tickets and I went up to him like, hey, you look like someone that could be my friend. I don't know anyone in town. I got 2 tickets to the Indians game. Let's go. His name was Dave, by the way.
Yeah.
And he says, okay. And I could tell he thought it was weird, but by the end of the game, he had said, no one's ever like come up and asked me out on a date before. I said, well, it's not a date.
That's right.
Like you're gonna be my friend.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, I guess we're still friends today. But yeah, it was a fantastic time.
Yeah, that's that's what happened to me when I went to Westchester, right? It wasn't so much that I just could find out who I wanted to be. It was like a clean slate. And really important in my life.
Well, you come with baggage too.
Lots of baggage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've known you a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not going to get out of your neighborhood without some weights on your ankles.
No. And, teenage parents and that type of thing. And just you know, yeah. Anyway, I had a lot of baggage, and yeah, that was the best thing. The only way I ever get out of college is if I leave. It was the best decision I ever made in my life.
Yeah, I thought, yeah, it was fantastic. I was out of my hometown. Yeah, you get to become who you want to be, or who you were meant to be.
Right.
I used to like to go to the Rock Hall
Yeah.
by myself sometimes. I'd get high and go
Yeah.
and walk around. And at the time there was this Beatles exhibit, of course.
Right.
And there was a quote by, I don't know, Lennon or McCartney, one of them.
Yeah.
And where they play at in their Hamburg,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the quote was, "I was raised in Liverpool, but we grew up in Hamburg."
Yeah.
I said, "Well, that resonates to me." Probably more so at the time because I was high.
Right.
But I said, "Yeah, I grew up.
Yeah.
No, I was raised in Erie.
Right.
I grew up in Cleveland. I became who I am in Cleveland, Ohio.
You graduate law school, and then you do stay in Cleveland for some time.
I do. I graduate law school. I went to law school at night,
Right.
which was an experience. But I went. But during the day, well, the first year of law school, I was a bartender.
Yeah.
But then I got a job as what's called like a scheduler
Right.
for a common pleas judge,
Right.
Judge Villanueva, who we have a great relationship to this day. But it's like his assistant,
Yeah.
right? So I was actually in court all day watching judges and lawyers and support staff and all of that. But when I graduated law school, I got a job with the federal government in the Health and Human Services
Yep.
Department of Medicare Hearings and Appeals.
Right.
And I was a law clerk
Right.
for that. So I assisted administrative judges writing opinions.
Yep.
And it was a terribly boring job.
Yeah.
But my boss at the time was the chief administrative law judge for the entire country,
Right.
who's still someone who's fantastic. Judge Rue's his name. He and his husband, Terry, I still am in contact.
Yeah.
They make stuffed animals for my children.
Yeah.
And he's a dear friend still. I talk to him maybe 3 or 4 times a year.
Nice.
But yeah, I worked there, which was a great time because now I don't have school.
Yeah.
I have a job.
Right.
My MySpace page was
Mhm.
very popular.
Right.
I had a blog,
Right.
was read by thousands. And yeah, life was fantastic.
Yeah, you do eventually move back to Erie.
I do. Before we get to that,
Yeah.
the time after law school was even better because now I'm a bit free.
Right.
I had been dumped.
Yeah.
So yeah, life was friends, hanging out,
Yeah.
and working.
And just working, right? And you had some money in your pocket finally a little bit.
I did.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
nice. But life brought you back to Erie.
It sure did.
Why was that?
Well, so around the time of my freewheeling days, after I had gotten dumped by someone that I thought I was going to be with for my life, I kind of went on a tear. And one of the ladies that I was dating, Adrienne,
Yeah.
she was living in Erie.
Yep.
And she found me on MySpace. She thought I was gay at first, but she liked the way I looked.
Right.
So she started following me, and I shouldn't have had such great blogs. So she tracks me down, and she says, "Hey, I'm going to be in Cleveland, or come to Erie or whatever." And we had known maybe 1 or 2 people, similar friends.
Right.
I said, "Yeah, that's fine." So one thing leads to another. We start dating, and then I realize, like, I'm not going to date someone in another city.
Right.
And there's no way in the world am I ever moving back to Erie. In fact, around that time, my boss had said, maybe we're going to transfer you to Miami.
Wow.
Yeah. So I thought, because I would go to Miami for work.
Yeah.
Because there was an office there.
And Miami Dolphins were always your favorite team. Right?
Miami Dolphins were always my favorite team.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I said, well, I don't know if I want to leave Cleveland to go to Miami, but that was an option.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking to this beautiful girl, Adrienne, I said, well, you live in Erie. I live in Cleveland.
It's just not going to work out.
You live in a different world than I do.
Yeah.
Like it's nice you come for the weekends, but we're done.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're done. And I go about my business. Now I'm deciding, do I want to leave all of my friends who are like my family,
right,
and go to Miami? And I'm getting a phone call for like a couple days, and I'm just ignoring it. I'm like, oh, leave me alone.
Yeah.
I'm ignoring it. And I remember the day I finally picked up because it was the American League Divisional playoffs,
Yep.
Indians versus the Yankees,
Mm-hmm.
which would have become not the infamous, but the bug game. Do you remember
Right.
the bug game?
I do remember the ball game.
I was there.
Yeah.
And I went and I got my hair cut at a new salon because my old person who cut my hair, he said, well, I'm out of business, so you should go see this girl.
Yeah.
So I went and I got my hair cut. Gonna get looking good.
Yeah.
Gonna go to the playoff game with some of my pals, guys and girls, and then we're gonna go out. And I'm getting ready, and I finally pick up the phone. I didn't pick it up. I opened it. It was a razor, right?
Yeah. The razors.
I flipped it
Ooh.
open,
Mhm.
and I said, "What do you want? Why do you keep calling?" It was Adrian,
Yeah.
and she said, "I'm pregnant." And I said, "I don't. I got to go to the game. I don't have time for this right now."
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So I hang up. I said, "I'll talk to you later." Maybe I said I probably didn't say that because I was a dick.
Yeah.
And I go to the game, and I remember we were behind home plate, not right behind, but we were the next level up.
Right.
And my one buddy, Ryan, he goes, "You're acting weird tonight." I said, "What do you? I'm not acting weird." And he's like, "No, like you're yourself." And then I'm looking at you, just staring off into nothing. It's like, "You okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." Thinking like, what am I gonna do, right? But the game was great. The Indians won. I
Mm-hmm.
think 1-0
Mm-hmm.
the last minute.
Right.
I went home. I didn't go out with everyone, so I went home and I said, "Well, what am I gonna do?" Because I was at this point thinking about going to Miami. I had just put a down payment on a townhouse,
Mm-hmm.
right? Uh, Things were looking up,
Yeah.
and I said, "Well, boy, what's gonna happen now?" So then for the next, I call Adrian, and we have a number of conversations about what's going to happen. And I told her, I said, well, why don't you can have the townhouse? I'll stay in the apartment. And to her credit, she said, well, I'm not coming to Cleveland with you, man. You dumped me,
Right.
right?
Yeah. I mean,
I said,
yeah.
well, that's fair. And I'm sure if you ever give her a podcast, she'll be more than happy to talk about this.
Yeah.
I said, that's fair. So I had to sell the townhouse. I quit my job.
Yeah.
During that couple weeks, I was reading something. I was reading a bunch of Mark Twain,
Right.
and there's a series of short stories. I don't know if I've ever told you about it. It's
No.
called The Diary of Adam.
Okay.
It's pretty great. And it's essentially Adam from the Bible
Right.
is writing about his first days here. He's, day one, I'm all these animals, I'm doing whatever I'm doing.
Right.
And then, of course, on the day that Eve shows up, he's like, well, now we've got a problem.
Yeah. Right.
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 And he spends a couple days or a couple of the short stories talking about how much she aggravates him, how vexatious she is, all of these things.
Right.
But one of the last lines of it, when they have to decide, is she going to get kicked out of paradise, right?
Right.
Or are we going to stay? Can I stay? And he said, I'd rather live outside of paradise with her than
Yeah.
in paradise without her.
Right.
I remember thinking, because my daughter wasn't born yet, I said, why would I ever?
Yeah.
Not that Cleveland, Ohio's paradise,
Right. But you
but
had a good,
to
nice
me
life.
it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
I said, there's no way that I'm going to live anywhere but with my daughter.
Right.
So I decided to leave, quit my job, moved in with my mom. So now we're kind of back to square one,
Yeah.
right?
Starting over.
In her basement.
Yeah.
I got a job as what's called a tip staff for
Right.
a judge, a local judge,
Right.
which is kind of the same job I had in law school, knowing that that's the best way to get to know people, but it didn't pay anything.
Right.
So I had to get on WIC,
Yeah.
welfare.
Right.
And I remember, so I've got this baby. I'm living at my mom's. I've got Adrian.
Yeah.
That was complicated at the time.
Right.
And I'm going to WIC offices.
Yeah.
And I'm going there, and they're making me watch videos. I remember in order to get the checks, you had to sit down, on an Elmo chair.
Yeah.
And I'm in a suit watching a video that like grape soda's not fruit
Yeah.
and fried chicken's not good.
Yeah.
And also you shouldn't shake your baby.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So I'm looking at the lady, I'm like, I I know this. I've been through college. I've been through. I'm an attorney.
Yeah.
I I know not to. She's like, you need to watch the video.
Yeah.
So I said, okay. So yeah, now I'm back in Erie,
Yeah.
watching about how grape soda is not fruit,
Yeah.
sitting on a preschool Elmo chair.
And then we could probably do a 2-hour podcast just on the journey
Hmm.
of you and Adrian, and then, but eventually you guys get back together.
Yes. So I had told my spoiler, my
Yeah.
now wife,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be with you just because we have a kid.
Right.
That wouldn't be good. And I've got all this baggage now. I said, oh shit,
Yeah. Right.
I I fucked up.
Right.
How I've become a dad that I didn't think I'd become.
Yeah.
Now this family that I never thought I'd have
Yeah.
from my own childhood.
Right.
But I did tell. I said we're not going to be together because of that. But one thing I did know is that even at the beginning, you're the mother of my child.
Right.
I'm going to love you and be here for you. And we ultimately moved back in,
Yeah.
doing counseling, things like that.
Yeah.
And we were together for some time as a family, maybe 10. I'm looking at my daughter here. 10 years were you? How old were you when I proposed? 10.
10 years old. Yeah.
So we were at myself and Adrian, we're at a concert, and I'm thinking to myself, I said, what the hell am I doing?
Right.
You're in love with this person. You have a daughter, and even by that time, guess we had a son
Yeah.
and a dog and a house,
Right.
right?
And everything. Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we did everything kind of backwards. Most people get married like you.
Yeah. Well,
Then maybe you start out at a not nice place. You
right.
get a little bit of a nicer place,
Right.
and then a home, and
Yeah.
then have kids and then pets. So we started out with a kid, and then we moved into a shithole,
Okay.
but it was a great place.
Yeah.
I have a lot of good memories there. And we got a bit of a nicer place because I got licensed. I had to get licensed in PA too.
Yeah.
So we get a bit of a nicer place, and then a home, and then we got a dog and some cats, which we already had. Then we have a son, and our cars get a little nicer too.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, I said, why aren't you married to this woman who loves you and you love her?
Right.
So then I got a ring and I proposed to her in our kitchen with our daughter there.
Talk to me about what's going on now. Like, what's the current situation like
With
with your life?
oh,
Yeah.
so I'm a partner at a law firm in Erie.
Yep.
I do criminal defense work,
Yep.
everything from speeding tickets to murder.
Yep.
I've been doing that about 9 years.
Yeah.
I also we do family law.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to me if I look into my life. So I'm helping people that maybe shouldn't be on the streets get back out on the streets,
Yep.
and I'm helping tear families apart. Great.
That's what you do. Talk to me. I think people will be interested. Whenever people know that I'm a lawyer, they always talk about criminal law, and
Mhm.
I've never done it. Well, I worked for a criminal judge for a while, but I never did an ounce of criminal law just because when I was in that criminal courtroom, it just all felt very auto mechanic. It felt like everybody had dirty hands, and that was why I went the other way. But in any
Yeah.
event, talk to me about being a criminal defense attorney.
Well, I started out after I clerked for the judge and I
Yeah.
got my PA license.
Yeah.
I went into the district attorney's office. I was a prosecutor for
Right.
5 years.
Right.
So I prosecuted crime.
Yep.
And most prosecutors aren't like you get your experience there and then you go out in private practice.
Right.
I think that my clients that I've had over the last 8, 9 years, I've only really met maybe 2 really bad people.
Right.
Most people, if they, well, commit a crime, I'm not going to sit here and say if you're alleged to committed a crime.
Right.
They're good people who made a bad choice.
Yep.
Or they're good people who, because of their circumstances,
Yeah.
have all of a sudden realized I'm in a terrible position and I'm going to commit crimes.
Yeah.
Right. Nobody wakes up and is like, I'm going to get addicted to crack today.
Yeah. Right.
Right. And even if someone says, yeah, today I'm going to start smoking crack, usually it's, oh, I've had 15 years that have led me to, I'm going to start doing crack.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to start doing heroin. and now I'm going to start committing crimes. Or they'll say, yeah, I accidentally fell off my sister's roof when I was putting shingles on.
Yeah.
I hurt my back. My doctors have pumped me full of opiates for the last 9 years, and now they said no more.
Yeah.
So they get hooked on the drug, and now they're going to start to break into people's houses to steal coins out of pickle jars.
Yeah. So a lot of your clients it's related to drug abuse. A lot of it.
Drug abuse,
Yeah.
mental health,
Yeah.
domestic situations.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, they're good people that have made a poor choice, or in the moment, they made a terrible decision.
Yeah. Right. And just to sort of, I think what you're getting at is that it could be you, right?
It could be any of us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's, yeah, you see a lot of yourself
Yeah.
in people, and that's a scary thing.
It is a scary thing.
So whether you're representing someone who's gotten a DUI or someone who's murdered somebody,
Yeah.
yeah, you're like, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right.
And that can be a scary thing.
Yeah.
Even I've had, people that have severely hurt or killed a baby.
Yeah.
I think we've joked about it. You're like,
Yeah.
I don't see how anyone could ever kill their baby, but I get it.
No.
I
Right.
could see how, yeah, if you don't have the certain tools you need, like, yeah, I understand why this person who didn't have a good upbringing or any kind of
Yeah.
education or understanding of what their triggers are might throw their baby against the wall. And
Yeah.
it's scary because you can see yourself in them,
Yeah. Right.
criminal or your domestic stuff.
What do you like better, like the criminal or the family law?
I like criminal defense work
Better. Yeah. Talk to me about the family law. Yeah. I mean, what's the difficulty of it?
Well, I think what I tell all of my clients, they'll
Yeah.
come in for divorce or custody if they're not married. And what's not lost on me, and I tell them, I said, I think I said it earlier. I said, you're going to get past this.
Right.
You and your spouse, you're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
Let's not be careful. Let's be careful to not fuck up your kids.
Yeah.
Because it's not lost on me that as a divorce attorney, it can really create chaos.
Yeah.
In your life and your spouse's and your kids' life, even though they're not even involved.
Yeah.
You hire a lawyer to solve your problems. Yeah.
Right.
And a lot of attorneys, well, all attorneys know that. So a lot of attorneys will say, if I can create more problems for my client,
yeah,
I get paid more money.
Yeah. It takes 10 years.
Yeah. So yeah. I tell clients, especially when there's kids involved, I said, look, you're going to have to pay me, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't make sure that all of your money, as much money, that your money goes to your kids before it goes to mine.
Right.
Right. I won't let a client fight over couches and throw pillows.
Right.
Or bullshit in custody that, hey,
doesn't really matter.
Their girlfriend can't be around, or it's just dumb.
Right. It's not going to,
Yeah. So criminal work, it's usually decent people acting on their best behavior.
Yeah.
Family work.
Yeah.
Is anything from decent to terrible people acting on their worst behavior.
Yeah. So I tell people I spent a lot of time in criminal court, and my internship with the DA's office was was in Kensington in Philadelphia, which is the worst neighborhood probably in the country. And I much preferred being in that neighborhood court than being in a family law environment. I did one case and everybody looked like they wanted to murder each other.
Yeah, I think in criminal court, by and large, the defense bar and the prosecute, we all get along.
Right.
We'll yell at each other from
time. Right. For especially for effect.
Yeah. In family law,
yeah,
there's a lot of lawyers that we just don't like one another.
Yeah.
Or you got that lawyer that you're putting on a show for your client, even though their client doesn't realize they don't need you to put on a show.
Yeah, they don't need to show.
Now you're screaming at each other in the courthouse or whatever it might be. So I like criminal law better. I don't know when I came to this conclusion or realization. I have addict clients.
Yeah.
And none of them want it.
Right.
So it's opiates.
Yeah.
They hate it, but they also love it.
Right.
And they probably can't imagine like doing anything but that.
Right.
So I joke with, my partners and stuff. I said, I would, if I quit.
Yeah.
After like my fantasy is to have a job at like an insurance company.
Yep.
Wear my khakis and my polo with my name tag on my belt.
Yep.
Swipe in and swipe out.
Hmm.
But I think I'd lose my mind after about a week.
Well, I can tell you that you just need to find other hobbies like starting a podcast.
Yeah, yeah,
That's my recommendation if you go that route.
yeah.
How many years have you been an attorney at this point?
16, 17.
16.
I don't know.
Yeah, so you're getting close. You're getting close to where I was 21.
Hmm.
21. All right, so talk to me about the next 5, 10 years. What's the plan?
The next 5, 10 years, I'd like to be 5 or 10 years older and still around.
Right,
That's the plan.
that's a good plan.
Yeah. I don't really know. So in the next 5 years, my lovely daughter will be out of the house.
Yeah,
Um, much to probably my kicking and screaming, but
yeah,
she'll go. So we'll still have our son, who's 10 years younger. He'll be around. So I'll be an old dad,
yeah.
like my grandparents.
Right.
Yeah. Next 5 to 10 years, I don't know, maybe move to another house.
Yeah. How about when Dean's out of the house? Any plans to get change jobs, change areas, anything like that? Any thoughts of that in the future?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I think, with the job I have,
Yeah.
I mean, I, I own the business. That's where I'm
Right.
established.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not really qualified to do anything but litigate.
Right.
So no, I haven't thought about it. And I think that I tend to, if you ask this 5 to 10 years,
Yeah.
if I tend to focus from whatever's here in my eyesight out
Yeah.
past the horizon,
Yeah.
um, I think like many, I don't do it because all I'll do is I'll focus on what negative things could happen.
Yeah. I got you.
I could wake up tomorrow and I could probably have an equal chance of finding a $10,000 bill on the ground
Right.
as I do getting hit by a bus.
Right.
I'm going to focus on getting hit by a bus.
Right.
We focus on the negative if we live out too far in that unknown.
Right.
So that causes anxiety,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Just like I don't try to dwell too much on the past.
Yeah.
That causes depression.
Right.
And now I'm yo-yoing back and forth between the two. So if you ask me that question, I guess I don't have an answer other than I got retirement accounts
Yeah. And
and life insurance.
and I'll figure it out when it comes.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
tomorrow I'll wake up, we'll have breakfast, and I'll go home.
Yeah. That's not. Well, no, that's good advice. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about Marky. We sort of skipped over that, but talk to me about your best friend.
So my best friend Mark, we met. Our dads worked at a company together, so we met probably when we were about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And we became pals, as much as a 4 or 5 year old can become.
Right.
When our dads would get together or whatnot. And then in fourth grade, I had to change schools to the school that he was at, and he was the only person I knew there. And I remember on the first day of school, you're scared, you're in fourth grade,
Yeah.
right? And all the other chaos that's going around. And I remember he came up to me. I was sitting down in my homeroom, and he came from another class and sat down next to me. And he said, "I'm glad you're at the school. Let me start to introduce you to all of our friends."
Yeah.
And he said, "Our friends?" I said, "Okay."
Right.
So then from then on out, we were pals.
Yeah.
But then we became best friends. I think it's a unique thing looking back on it, and we'll get to how it all ended. You have this pal.
Yeah.
I know you had him too.
Yep.
And in a lot of ways, they become forever, like the first love of your life.
Yeah. 100%.
It's not
Yeah,
sexy, but
it's platonic, but
yeah,
it's real love.
you have
Yeah.
someone who you genuinely care about,
Right.
that you put their needs before yours,
Yep.
that you spend damn near every day together.
Yep.
So from fourth grade on, we were together every day.
Yeah.
My mom's house was close to his house. So we were together because of my home environment. I was there more than I was at my own house.
Right.
His parents, I remember, got divorced, which was a unique thing to go through.
Yeah.
So now I'm kind of going through it again
Right.
in a different way.
Yeah.
But I was there for him. In high school, he went to one of the private schools in town, so we weren't in the same school. But even I said in high school, I didn't really hang out with a lot of my school friends because it was him and I
Right.
all the time.
Yep.
We'd go do stuff with the kids in the neighborhood or whatnot, but we were always together. And it was a special thing. And then in college, like I said, he fizzled out. He started hanging out with people that he probably shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Guys I didn't like. I never liked them.
Right.
Probably because on some level I was like, well, these are dickheads, and they're junkies,
Right.
right? But also, where are you going?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
together.
We're best friends. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he kind of he just left that. He kind of dropped out of college, and I remember telling him at the time, probably not. I didn't have the experience I have now that I would have handled it different. I said, "You're going to do this, you know." It wasn't drinking; it was drugs.
Yeah.
So you're going to do this. We're done.
Right.
Instead of like, "Hey, I understand how you got here. Let me help you through it."
Right.
I said, "We're done." Then I didn't talk to him for a number of years, so probably 6, 7 years.
Wow.
And I got a phone call one day
Yeah.
from a number, of course, I knew. He called from his parents' house, his
Right.
mom's house. And I said, hey, he said, hey, I'm living in Cleveland now, on East Cleveland. I was on the West Side. They're different worlds,
Right.
as you know, from in Philly. Like,
Right.
yeah,
Right. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
in South Philly. Well, you might as well live on a different planet if you live in North Philadelphia.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Exactly.
So I said, okay. I said, why are you calling me?
Yeah.
And he said, I miss you.
Oh.
So I drive out to East Cleveland to meet with him, and he's living in an environment that he shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
I said, well, you're not living here. Come on. And he spent the next couple weeks at my place, and we reconnected, and it was nice. And he told me, he said, you left me.
Right.
I didn't leave you.
Right.
Which is something that I'll take to heart forever. If you're dealing with someone who's struggling with mental health or addiction or whatever,
Yeah.
you just don't abandon them.
Right.
But he said, you left me in the gutter.
Right.
You were off going to school, you lost all these great things, and you
Right.
left me.
Yeah, but you couldn't have stayed there with him.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, but
But
the thing is, there can always be a lifeline, right? But
yes,
it has to have strings attached, though.
right.
Yeah.
And so we reconnected, and it
Yeah.
was probably one of the, I'm not going to say, like, oh, my wedding and birth of my kid. Well, yeah, those are all great things that you
No,
always
right. Of
remember. But
course.
it
Right.
was one of the best times of my life.
Good. Yeah.
So I'm reconnecting. I found my friend again.
Yeah.
And we, around that time, I get a call from Adrian.
Yeah.
So that whole story.
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, well, all those things we talked about, but I got my buddy back.
Right. Yeah. So my life's starting in Cleveland. My best friend's back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he and I talked. I said, if I go to Florida, you should come.
Right.
Because I'm not going to know anyone.
Right.
And I don't need to know any if you come with me.
Yeah.
And that was maybe the plan. But I was going to Erie, and he said, well, I don't have anything in Cleveland. I got a job offer in Erie. I'm going to come back.
Wow.
So for the time I moved back to Erie, maybe 6 months before my daughter was born.
Right.
So now all of a sudden I'm back going through the stress of that time in my mom's basement.
Yeah.
But I was also spending a lot of time in his mom's basement again.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic.
Right.
And I remember we're thinking about these plans. We're talking about how we fell apart and it's not going to happen again.
Yeah.
And I've got this daughter on the way, and he's going to be a part of that. And it was great. So my daughter's born. We're talking about on the way here. I think he was the first to visit.
Yeah.
That Father's Day, my daughter's born in May. Father's Day, I get a phone call. Well, the day before, we were going to go play golf. Me and him and his dad. We're all going to play golf for Father's Day.
Yeah.
And Mark, he wanted me to go out to it's called a stag party. It's for people that are about to get married.
Yeah.
They sell raffle tickets, things like that.
Right.
I said, well, I don't want to do it. I said, I'm going to be with, home with my family.
Right.
Because even though Adrian and I weren't living together, we were still pretty much there.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be there. Go out, have a good time. And he said, all right. Because I knew he was going through some things too.
Right.
I knew he was upset that maybe his life wasn't where he wanted it to be.
Yeah.
He was kind of taking ownership or an accounting of his
Mistakes.
his addictions.
Yeah.
Or past addictions.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's probably working a program or on the fourth step or something like that.
Right.
But I said, go. I said, we'll get together in the morning. And then I got a call that morning on Father's Day from I missed some calls from his dad, but I picked up his longtime girlfriend, who's one of my law partners now, she called me and she said, Marky's dead.
Yeah.
You don't know how to handle that.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, well, what happened, right?
Yeah.
And she said, he's dead. Because they weren't together, but he was, she was a big part of his life. I mean, they
Right.
started dating at 14. She
Yeah.
asked me out. I said no, because I had my own girlfriend. I said, you should hang out with my boy.
Yeah.
And they dated all through high school. Um, I said, well, what happened? I guess his mom that morning found him at the bottom of the basement stairs.
Oh boy.
His basement stairs are very steep.
Yeah.
And at the base of the stairs, there's not a lot of width between the bottom step and the wall.
Yeah.
So his mom found him at the bottom of the stairs dead. And my friend was dead.
Yeah.
I think about him every day.
Yeah.
People ask me, well, who's your best friend? He's Mark.
Yeah.
So
It's not easy to replace them.
can't.
Yeah. Yeah. How'd you get through that loss?
I haven't.
Yeah.
So I've been in therapy since I was probably 10.
Yeah.
The last couple of years, probably because of work stress, life stress.
Yeah.
Right. My own things. I've been in a lot of therapy, and I'm still working on that loss, because you don't get over it.
Yeah.
It's like losing your leg.
Right.
It's not there.
Yeah. It's part of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's tough.
Yeah. You don't get past it. You focus maybe on good things. My daughter, God bless her, asked about him, so I get to talk about him.
Yeah. It feels good though, right?
Yeah.
That part of it feels good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about some advice that you might give some people.
Yeah.
First piece of advice. Tell me about advice you would give 18-year-old version of you.
Be kind to yourself when you're 43.
Yeah. It's good advice.
Yeah. So one of the things that I like to journal. One of the things I'm doing now is I write a letter to my younger self.
Yeah.
I've got a photo in my closet at home. I got a picture of my daughter, my wife, my dog.
Yeah.
And I've got a picture of me at like 8. So I write a letter to him talking about, I'm sorry I did that. I'm sorry I did this, but I did do these things. But then I also write a letter from him to me saying, you're all right.
You're all right.
So my advice to a younger me, if it's 18 me,
yeah,
be careful with yourself.
Yeah.
Don't be reckless, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't be so hard on yourself.
How about new parents? Any advice for new parents?
Take a breath. Take a deep breath. Kids don't fix anything. Babies aren't great.
Right.
They cause stress. They're not going to fix your relationship
Yeah.
with anyone. But also to new parents, be present.
Yeah.
Even if it's in the middle of the night and they're screaming and this is the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
Enjoy the moment. It's going to be over quick.
How about new husbands?
To a new husband, I would say be patient.
Yeah.
Treat your wife not necessarily in a way that you want to be treated, but treat your wife in a way that you would treat a person who is ultimately going to be responsible for a good portion of your happiness, your health, taking care of you, and making sure that you don't have poop stains in your underwear.
Yeah.
Treat them nice and don't take them for granted.
Right. It's good advice. How about young bosses, like new bosses? You have any advice for a boss?
If you want to be a boss, don't act like a boss. Act like part of a team that is going to lead by example, that's going to be kind, that is going to be very clear about what the standard is.
Yeah.
Right. But don't make it obvious that you control someone else or their finances or their future.
How about young workers? Any advice for them?
Take your job seriously, even if it's not a serious job.
Yep.
I think that you do that. You also realize that people are watching.
Yeah.
All the time.
Always.
You don't need to be some standout super employee, but you should take your job serious, even if it's not a serious job, because you will have a serious job someday.
Right.
And when you get that serious job, don't take that serious job too seriously,
Right.
because you'll lose your mind.
Yeah. Take the work seriously, but not the day to day, the every minute of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You should take pride in your work, but you don't have, as you get as a professional, you don't have to be so serious all the time.
Mhm.
People like that get burned out really fast.
In my line of work, especially.
Yeah. Especially when it's high intensity work.
Yeah.
I mean, you're dealing with people's lives, like literally their lives.
Yep.
How about what would 18-year-old version of you think of this version, the 40-plus-year-old version?
I think he'd be surprised. I would have, at 18, I would have thought that I wouldn't have the good things I have.
Yeah.
Because why would I deserve it
Hmm.
at 18?
Right.
So I think he'd be proud,
Yeah.
surprised.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing to think about.
Yeah. So I've said it something similar is that I don't think the 18-year-old version of me could have conceived of this life that I have personally.
Absolutely.
Same thing for you.
Yeah. When I was 18, by the time I was 43, 4, I don't know how old I am.
Yeah.
My wife's not here to tell me. Yeah. There's no way that I would have thought that I'd still be alone.
Yeah.
If around at all.
Yeah.
And I certainly wouldn't have the wonderful things I have.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about relationships. What's it like being your wife? What would she say about
Nerve wracking. I think she worries about me more than she has to.
you? Yep.
I think that she's concerned. I think that it's difficult to be my wife because I don't take a lot of things seriously.
Yeah.
I tend not to focus on things at home that maybe I should,
Yeah.
like fixing a window.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get over it. You have a window,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I
Be
mean,
happy you have a window.
I hear
Um,
you.
I think that, but I think it'd be fun to be my wife. Yeah, I joke around.
Yeah.
We do fun things, but I think on some level she's got another kid to deal with, and I need to work on that.
Yeah. How about being your child? What would your ninth grader say about you?
Well, I would think that she would say, she's in the room.
Yeah.
I think she's proud. I think she gets worried
Yeah.
about burnout or anything else.
Yeah.
I think that she looks up to me.
Yeah.
Which isn't lost on me. We spend a lot of time together. We always have. Well, even when she was a baby, my wife was in nursing school at night. So really, for the first 4 years of her life, it was me and her.
Yeah.
Maybe 5, maybe. We spend a lot of time together. We do a lot of things. Coach, sports. We do activities together. I think if she were to tell you about my dad, I think she would say he's pretty great. He has his flaws. I don't hide those from her.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a god.
Right. We're not perfect.
A semi-god.
Demi.
Yeah,
Demi.
but I think it's important for her to realize that as a parent, I'm just a guy.
Right.
I'm just trying.
Just doing the best we can.
Yep.
With what we have been given.
That's right.
And trying to make it better.
With what we've been given.
Yeah.
Which sometimes isn't enough.
Sometimes, but we're trying.
Yeah.
We're trying, as my 10-year-old is sitting here too. What person had the most impact on you in your life? Would you say one person, any people?
Yeah. Mark.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was that event the most impactful to you?
His death?
Yeah. Or what event would be the most impactful to you, if you can say one event?
Regarding him?
No, anything.
It's cliche.
Yeah.
My parents hate each other.
Yeah.
That's the most impactful thing in my life.
Yeah.
It's a really shitty thing. And I tell clients all the time, so you're not going to be husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend, but you should never put your kids in a position where it has to be mom or dad.
Yeah.
Because you're still mom and dad.
Yeah.
So yeah, as cliche as it might be, and if they listen, sorry, I'm gonna tell you that. Yeah, all of you can kind of trace everything back to that family of origin.
Right.
Bullshit.
Yeah, because it just caused so much, just chaos a little bit, right?
Well, yeah, it
Yeah.
causes you to be obsessive compulsive. It leads to addictive behaviors,
Yeah.
both for good and bad things.
Right.
It causes insecurity. It causes how do I be a husband?
Yeah. Relationship
I've
issues.
never seen it work,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, as cliche as it is, and sorry, mom and dad, but that's it.
Yeah. I mean, I did things because of those relationships. Like, my parents were teenagers, right? So they always stayed together, but there was different kind of issues like money. So
Uh-huh.
I was 21 years old, had a girlfriend, your sister, and we had a joint bank account.
Hmm.
That's the fucking bizarre thing to do now that I
Yeah.
look at it now, right?
Uh-huh.
But I needed to not worry. We were having a joint life. We weren't going to fight over money.
Yeah, but I think, and I know your mom and dad, and your dad, I miss him. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Gave me my first whiskey sour ever. So that's kind of a bitch drink,
Yeah.
man. He's like, just you like it. But I don't blame
No, no,
parents because
no.
what do they know? They
Right. It's the same thing that we just told our kids, right? They were doing the best that they could with the
right.
tools that they were given.
Yeah, and you come up in a certain age, it's not like your parents got divorced, so you can see like, oh, that's fucked up. Maybe I
Right.
should try a little harder, or at least address the issue. Or if it's going to be over, let's handle it in a productive way.
And again, it was the mid '80s when they're dealing with this, and nobody had really gotten divorced before that. Like that's not something that really happened in the '60s or the '50s.
Mid '80s,
Yeah, that's when it all started.
capitalism and
All right,
cocaine, I guess.
all right. Let's move on now. Let's talk about some embarrassing stories.
Okay.
Do you have any drunk or high story that you would like to share? Me
Um,
too. Yeah.
yeah, one's involving you, or
No, no, just anything. Just a drunk or high embarrassing story.
well, since I'm here,
Yeah.
let's talk about your wedding night.
Okay, that's a good one.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
So I had on your wedding one of my sister's bridesmaids. I
Yeah.
won't say her name.
Yeah. Don't say anything.
She's cute.
Yeah.
Apparently, she thought I was cute. So we go. You guys all had hotel rooms.
Yep.
So we go back to the hotel room and whatever. And in the morning, I wake up and she was in the bathroom. I remember, and I had on my cummerbund.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I look over, and her mom and stepdad are sitting in the bed, and they were kind of hippie-ish
Yeah.
people.
Very hippie.
And they're like, "Oh, you had fun last night?" And I said, "Uh-huh." And I had to somehow get out of the bed with just my cummerbund on, get dressed, and that was embarrassing, I suppose.
Yeah.
It was fun. It's a good story.
Yeah. Good story.
I have a lot.
Yeah.
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 Well, put it this way, a lot of them typically end up with some public embarrassment,
Yeah.
right? Or a lesson to be learned.
Yeah.
One time, I think I was out having a good time with my friends. I got jumped by a guy who I think I kissed his girlfriend months or years before.
Yeah.
And I got my face rubbed against the ground.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and I had to go to the ER the next day because I was concussed. And I remember Adrian took me because I called her. I said, "Hey, I got jumped." She's like, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah." I showed her the picture, and my whole side of my face was all rolled. So
Jesus.
she came over. I said, "Well, don't do that," but she did, and then I got asked if she caused it at the
Oh God.
hospital.
Yeah.
But the worst part, I had to go to my professional job on Monday.
Yeah.
There's no excuse. So they asked what happened. I said, "Well, I was mountain biking. I went over my handlebars."
Yeah.
They
Mm-hmm.
said, "Yeah, sure, that happened."
Yeah. That happened.
But yeah, there's a lot of them. They're all this what everyone
They're
has.
all the yeah. They're all the same. How about a pee, puke, or fart story?
Well, I pooped my pants a couple weeks ago at the gym. Uh, I trusted a fart,
Yeah.
which I've pooped my pants in my life at least 8 times.
Let's
I don't
talk.
think.
Let's talk about the worst one.
I was at CVS or Walgreens.
Uh-huh.
Um, I was in my mid 20s, and I had on like tear-off pants,
Yeah.
pull-away pants, and I was at the Walgreens or CVS, what it was. I was in the aisle and I had to squat down, and I remember there's a cute girl down the aisle,
Uh-huh.
and I went, "Hey, what's up?" She's like, "Hi, how are you doing?" And I said, "Okay, well, We strike up a conversation. And I bent down to pick up whatever, and I farted what I thought would be quiet, but I a lot. I shit my pants. So I had to just leave. And she said as I was leaving with my poop pants, she's like, "Where are you going?" I said, "Huh." So that was bad. But yeah, I did a little poop my pants at the gym a couple weeks ago.
Nice. Have you ever pooped your pants at work?
Oh yeah, thank you. My daughter reminded me.
Yeah.
So, uh, she and we'll end the poop session with this. She and my wife were at Olive Garden. I had to go to the bathroom. I have a pretty healthy number two,
Mm-hmm.
at least 3 times a day. And so I go into the bathroom and I take care of what I'm doing. I wipe a little, and then I'm touching my face, and I look at my hand, and I've just got shit all over my hand.
Oh,
And I had been like touching my face and like rubbing my hair.
oh God.
So then oh God. So I clean up and I go to the mirror, and I just got shit all in my hair too at the Olive Garden.
Oh,
So
fucking
that would
God.
be the worst one, worse
Uh,
than shitting my pants in front of a cute girl.
yeah, no, oh God, that's awful.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. You didn't listen to my podcast, but you should listen to one. I sat and shit for about 45 minutes once.
Good for you.
Yeah.
It's actually,
Comforting.
well, because we talked, you feed your, it's warm and it's
It's
nice.
warm.
It feels good.
Thank you. Well, you're the first person to admit that.
Mhm.
Did you ever get caught having sex or catch your parents having sex?
I don't know if Laura would have mentioned it on hers.
No.
We were, so I would have been a freshman. She would have been a senior in high school. So I remember the house it was at. She and I were home, and I don't think my mom and stepdad knew that that was the night we were home.
Yeah.
And we didn't catch them, but we heard all about it for probably a good hour and a half.
Yeah.
And all I wanted was to like get out of my room and into her room so we could get out the window
Right.
because I knew she's like, "Gosh, she's got to be hearing this." And it was awful. I mean, God bless them. I mean, it's probably a great time they had. Um, but it was, so yeah,
It's traumatic.
caught them. Have I ever been caught? Yeah. One time I was at a park.
Yeah.
In the back of a truck.
Yeah.
And the police came, and they didn't put their flashlight on me a lot, which I kind of felt. I'm like, guys, I'm hot, which is funny because that same cop, I when I became a prosecutor, I was like,
Yeah.
hey, remember? He's like, yeah, I remember that. I was like, you could have looked at me too. I got a cute butt. So we got caught. That was at a public park.
Oh, good.
Um,
In a car. You were in a car.
in the bed of a truck.
In the bed of a truck.
Yeah. And I've been caught like in, house, like you're living with guys and girls and
Right. Right. All right. Oh, you know what? The one thing what would it like being Laura's brother growing up? I didn't ask you that.
She sucks a lot of air out of the room, and she does it on purpose.
Yeah.
You're never right. She's always right,
Right.
but she's not.
Yeah.
Um, so I think being her brother is this endless desire, not desire, this endless race for attention and acknowledgement.
Yeah.
And acceptance.
Yeah.
As I get older, though, I see through it. She's insecure.
Yeah.
Yeah, she talks a big game, but because inside, I also know, and you don't know, I knew her when she was 8.
Yeah.
And all that happened.
Yeah.
And so I think that, yeah, she's insecure, but she's great.
Yeah.
But also being her brother, I think that at certain times it was hard because she had the ability or the benefit to not be strong all the time.
Right.
She had breakdowns.
Right.
And
Right.
I couldn't have those.
Yeah.
So I think that's also reflected a lot in my adult life.
Yeah.
That you have to take on everyone's burden.
Yeah.
Because Laura had the ability to not always have to shoulder everyone's responsibility.
Yeah. Is it funny watching her be a parent and see how different she is that way?
I wouldn't say it's funny, but I can see that, and hopefully it's with me too.
Yeah.
One of the benefits of having a first row seat to people that maybe didn't know how to be the best parents.
Yeah.
Not that they didn't love,
Right.
not that they didn't care,
Right.
but maybe didn't have the best tools.
Yeah.
You can see in her that she's put a lot of attention
Yeah.
and thought and study into how should I handle these kids.
Yeah. How is she a sister at this point?
She's great. She is. Hopefully, she said it.
Yeah.
She's one of my best friends.
Yeah. She said it.
Okay, good. We talk about every day, whether it's a minute or 10, but we talk just about every day. And even if we don't talk, what I'll do if I don't have time to talk is I'll call, I'll let it ring once or twice, but then I'll hang up.
Yeah.
Just to let her know I called.
Yeah.
But I think that, being her brother is pretty great. And that's not a lot of siblings don't have the relationship
Yeah.
that she and I have.
No, it's nice.
And I think that we are that way because of what we've been through together.
Yep.
What we continue to go through together.
Yep.
She is the only person in the world that truly knows where we've been.
All right. How about being my brother-in-law? How's that?
I loved you since day one.
Yeah.
I
love you too.
Oh, thanks.
Always.
No,
really, I really. The kids are laughing, but I did.
And I appreciate that because none of her other like guys that were around, they were all jackasses.
Yeah.
And they were full of themselves, and they looked at me like I was a twit, right? But you came around. I said, "Oh, I think I'm gonna like this guy, even if he's afraid of 2 inches of snow." I said, "He's gonna be a good time," and I always felt pretty comfortable around you.
Mhm.
I don't have a brother. I had stepbrothers, and they're nice guys.
Yeah.
I never had a brother.
Yeah.
And being your brother-in-law is being your brother.
Well, that's nice. It is.
And you had to get used to, I think, for a while, I would always be talking to you while you're trying to poop.
Yeah, because
You're like, get out of the tub, man.
well, your family has this weird fucking thing where you're allowed to be like naked near each other, and you piss and shit near each other when you're like half naked. You're growing up, and it made me uncomfortable. And all of you, your mom included, had a good time with that.
Well, that's that Italian Catholic upbringing. You're uptight.
Yeah, well, it's my fucking private time. I want to touch my ass by myself. Like, just leave me alone.
If you needed your ass wiped, I'd help.
Oh, I know. I appreciate that. All right. I got 20 questions.
Okay.
You ready?
Ready.
All right. It's the Angry Day podcast, so I need to ask everybody what makes you angry.
When I don't live up to the standards I set for myself, I get angry at myself. I don't think I get angry at a lot of external things.
Yes, you're good at that.
I'll yell at a kid.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't think a lot makes me angry that's not from
within.
Inside. Yeah.
Yeah. What makes you happy?
I think what makes me happy is when I actually take a step back and try to acknowledge my blessings and realize that they outweigh anything else.
Yeah.
That makes me happy. And that's something substantial, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, cake makes me happy, but that's
no, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you most proud of?
My family, without a doubt.
If there's one thing you can change about the world, what would it be?
People need to slow down, and we need to people need to realize what they have in common more than what they don't have in common.
Yeah, it's funny because it's a recurring theme. You know, people have talked about social media, but it's all about connecting.
Yeah, I think it's disappointing how much hate there is.
Yeah, it is. How about one thing you can change about your life? Would you change anything about your life?
Yes, I would. I'd slow down if I could.
Yeah.
In all manner of things.
Right.
I'd slow down, whether it's being with my family.
Yeah.
Work, vices, good and bad.
Right.
Just slow down.
Any tattoos or scars that you have that tell a story?
I don't have any tattoos. I have a lot of scars.
Yeah.
I have a scar on my eyebrow from my cousin Dave. and pushed me into a car. My aunt found me knocked out in a pool of blood, thought I was dead.
Oh, good.
He ran away thinking he had killed me.
Oh,
I have a scar on the side of my body that you've seen.
yeah.
Your wife and I were racing bikes.
Hmm.
She'll tell a different story, but I it was more I'm going to remember it better because I had my kickstand 3 inches impaled into my body. I was winning, so she kicked me off my bike and I
Yeah.
landed on my kickstand and went in my body. I remember pulling my bike out of my body.
Yeah.
I went inside to my mom with my fingers in me, saying, I think we need to go to the hospital, Mom. And
You-
she said, get in the bath. She was doing whatever she was. I said, no, I'm really hurt. Said, get in the goddamn bath. Okay. So I'm drawing this bath for myself with
Yeah.
one hand because I've got my other hand in my side. And then she came in to wash my hair, and I was just in a bath of blood.
Oh, that's nice.
So
She-
the two most influential women in my life at that time had impaled me with a bike and told me to kick rocks. But I told her I was bleeding out
Oh,
and I had
God.
some internal bruising.
Oh, yeah. No, that you didn't have to talk about that in therapy at all.
No,
No, Laura often tries to tell people that she's not competitive. Do you remember that Laura growing up?
she's competitive about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't think because she's a competitive person. I just don't think she likes other people to get accolades or attention.
I love it. Oh, that's amazing. Um, what is the strangest place you had sex? Sorry, daughter's here.
At a Christian church camp that I was a counselor at.
It's amazing.
Yeah, they frown upon that, but it happened.
Uh, what is most important to you?
That I be honest with myself. It's hard to do for everyone,
Yeah,
me included.
yeah. Well, It's the it's hard. What's most unreasonable about you?
Probably expectations that I have for others because my expectations for myself aren't reasonable.
How about an everyday struggle?
Just to be honest with myself.
Yeah,
What are your fears? Why aren't you addressing them?
yeah,
What are your responsibilities? Are you addressing them? If you are, why? If you're not, why? But yeah, an everyday struggle is to, yeah,
just to keep yourself in check
that's right. I tend to fly off the handle if I'm left to my own devices.
and fly off the handle, meaning that like in your own head. I mean,
In my own head,
yeah,
I've always been since maybe 18 or back further. I tend not to care about myself as much as I should,
yeah,
which is why I need other people around.
hmm,
I get irresponsible and reckless in anything,
yeah,
whether it's working, exercise, eating, drinking, whatever it might be.
yeah. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why we've always gotten along. I
Yeah,
have that same problem.
yeah. If I don't, I'm certainly not going to put myself in check.
Yeah,
I need someone else telling me, which is probably isn't a good sign of maturity. It's not. That's 40, 40. You should, yeah, know your limits.
you shouldn't show up at 4:30 in the morning hammered at 47.
That would probably be a bad look. Yeah,
Yeah, it might be. I don't know anybody that did that last week.
not me.
No, you're not 47.
Yeah,
Um, what is your best quality?
I like people and I want to be around them. And I like to think that people like to be around me. I genuinely care about people.
What's your dumbest mistake?
All of my mistakes have been brilliant. None of them have been dumb.
No, how about your best mistake? Like a, uh,
My best mistake,
yeah,
my family. I stumble bummed my way
yeah,
into it. It
yeah,
wasn't planned.
yeah. No, it's an obvious answer for you, but not
Yeah,
always. Not always an obvious answer for other people. What type of music do you hate?
pop country.
Yeah,
It's dumb. I like country music.
yeah. I like some country music too.
Pop country's stupid.
What annoys you the most about others?
That they're too concerned with themselves.
Self-absorbed people.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you were arrested, what would your friends and family think happened to you?
My pals and I had a wild night.
Yeah. If you could be a woman for one day, what would you do?
I'd get free everything. Not just I wouldn't go to the bar and get free drinks. I'd go to the grocery store
Yeah.
Like, could you give me the steak?
If you could see my boob.
Don't even show it. I had one time. I was at a gay bar,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was one of those nights where I kind of left my friends. I tend to wander around, and a guy took a shine to me, and he was buying me all these drinks, and I said, "That's great," and I flirted with him a little bit,
Yeah.
but it gave me a good lesson in being a woman because then he's expected something.
Right.
I said, "I don't know you anything." He
Right.
said, "I've been giving you drinks all night." I said, "Well, that's on you, man."
Right.
But it also taught me that if you're a woman and someone's going to pay for things, then yeah,
God bless it.
right.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
All right. So I'm adding one question because you avoided my worst mistake. What's your favorite curse word?
It would be God damn it. Yeah. And not one because blasphemy,
Yeah.
which adds a layer, or like Jesus fucking Christ would be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
That's better
That's good.
because you're not only getting angry at something, but you're also, if there is a God, I'm cursing you.
I'm cursing you too.
Do
Yeah.
something about it.
What is your most fun but most dangerous quality?
I tend not to have a lot of breaks on my train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll go for it.
And for a penny and for a pound. With whatever it might be.
Yeah. Last two questions.
Yeah.
If heaven does exist, you reach the pearly gates. What do you want God to say to you?
I'm glad you're home.
And last one, what do you want to be remembered for when it's all said and done?
Someone who gave more than what he was given.
You got anything else for me, buddy?
I love you.
I love you too, man. Thank you for doing this. It was fun.
I look forward to part 2.
Yeah. All right. And until next time, we're out. Peace.